Hi, Evan. You have a beautiful mare. This is the only shot I really got to see her from behind, but I want to point it out because lots of people don't know about this. A lot of the walking horses and a lot of the gaited horses, just because they're conformation, can ring their hocks, and I want you to know your horse does that so somebody doesn't point it out in the future and you think something's wrong. So if you watch her hocks back here, and I have videos on ringing hocks, you'll see she kind of, as she puts her foot down, her hock kind of goes out to the side. Right about there. Okay. So that's just ringing of the hocks. And, you know, some horses, it's just their conformation, and it can get better as you work them and they get stronger and they engage their hindquarter more. It makes them a lot stronger. But lots of people who don't know gaited horses see that and think the horse is neurologic. And of course, many horses can be neurologic, but your horse doesn't look like that. But if someone's riding with you from the back, they might say something looks weird with your horse. So if they do, you just say, yes, I know, my horse rings her hocks, it's her conformation, and that's the way she's built, so don't worry about it. All right, now as we move on, she's a nice big mare. Weight-wise, because I like to point everything out, make sure she doesn't get any heavier. She's she looks great, but you don't want her any heavier than she is, especially as they get older, because then it's more weight on their joints, and it's also can put them at more risk of insulin resistance and Cushing's and things like that. So again, she looks good. Just make sure she doesn't get any heavier. So if you're not riding her much, then feed her less or ride her more. So she has a nice walk. You know, she doesn't overreach way over her front hoof print, which is good. I think that's a better thing. Some of those that reach way over can have more issues. Right there, she was pacing. There she looks like she has a couple good canter steps, and then she goes to trotting and fox trotting. So there she's trotting and fox trotting again. So I like to see what they can do loose so we know what kind of talent they have. As you go around your circle, at least in this video, it looks like parts of it are going up and parts of it are going down. So when the horse usually goes up, like probably more over here, at least it looks on the incline, that usually makes him a little bit more on the trotty side, and when it goes downhill, that usually makes him more pacey. So there she's pacing, and she's half cantering, then she's trotting. But if you ride around here, when you ride in the arena, just know anytime it goes downhill, you want to slow down, because we see she can pace. So if you don't slow down, she's going to pace and she's going to swing those legs, and then it's more likely she's going to catch something with her feet. As it goes more uphill, that's where we want to try to get more speed with your horse, because then we know it puts her on the trotty side, which will help separate those legs more. So as she's just walking around, that's her flat walk, and she has a very nice walk. She's shaking her head, she's stepping up with her hindquarters, and it looks pretty good. And then as she speeds up, she kind of pops her head up, which is fine. And then there she went to pacing. So the things we want to point out is, yeah, she's got a nice head shaking walk, but she can get lazy and she can get her head way down here, and that puts a lot more weight on her front end. And when we're riding them, we want more weight on their back end. So horses usually carry 60% on their back, 40% on their front. But if they get too heavy on the front and get more like 60% on the front and 40 on the back, if they trip, they're more likely to fall over. If they trip, it's harder to help them to get back up. So when we're riding them to keep us safe and to get their best gait, we like to get more weight on their back end and get them to engage that back end and push. Okay, we want them to drive from their back end, lighten the front end, so it makes for a nicer ride. Each horse, because I just see her going to the left here, is different. So some of them will trot and pace when they go to the left. Some of them will do the same thing when they go to the right. And some, when they go to the right, will just trot or they'll just pace. That helps you when you're trying to teach the horse certain things. Because if they just pace in one direction, but they trot and pace in the other, the direction that they trot and pace with, you're probably going to get faster first. and you're going to get better gaits out of them, okay? If she is trippy at all, because I know I've seen her trip some here, but it might be the footing, and I saw her trip some in the arena, then I would place some poles out here. I'd go to Home Depot, get some of those wood poles that aren't too heavy so it's easy for you to move, and put them out like a clock at 12, 3, 6, and 9, and have her walk over them, and then have her go over them faster. And what it'll do is usually take her from that pace that she's doing and convert her to a trot. And that will help build up her back end. It'll make her stifle stronger. It'll make her whole hindquarter stronger, which will help a little bit with that ringing of the hocks. And it'll help us to get other gaits with her. Now, from just seeing her loose and knowing she's a walking horse and, you know, the talent she has, she should have a flat walk, she'll have a running walk, and then she might even have a foxtrot, and then in time you might be able to get a rack. Cantering wise, I don't know if you canter her, but this direction she looked like she could canter some, but the more you get her trotting, the easier that canter will be for her. A lot of the horses that do this, and they're the walking horses, and they pace and they trot, when you're cantering them, they'll get a couple steps and they'll fall apart, and that's normal. So you canter a couple steps, go back to gaiting or walking, canter a couple steps, go back to gaiting and walking, and then over time they'll get stronger and stronger. With these horses, though, the ones that get pacey, I try to never, when I'm going downhill, canter them, because when you go downhill, they'll fall out of the canter, go into that pace, and then they can get trippy. All right, let's go to the next video. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So your pants are so cool. I love bell bottoms, so I wanted to tell you that. And everything, your area looks beautiful out there. It looks like a very nice ranch. Okay, to me, the terrain looks like it's sloping downhill, but again, it's different when you're there in real life, so you can tell me if that's flat or if it's sloping a little bit. As she's walking, you just want to be careful she doesn't get her head too low, because a lot of times the walk-in horses, when they get lazy, they can get a little trippy and they don't pay attention to where their feet are. Now, she looks pretty sure-footed. She doesn't have that huge stride, so it might not be a problem, but I just like to mention it because there's so many out there that can trip. So as she's walking, I would try to keep her head a little bit higher. She's very similar to the horse Minnie I had, who could also pace and trot. And we don't want them to get too heavy on their front end. She could actually pace with her head down, or she could get trotty, and your horse might be able to do the same. So we're trying to keep her, as you're going downhill, to half halter with each step, which means squeeze and release on the rein like that, which I have videos of that. If you don't know what it is, you let me know. And you want to try to keep her engaged and keep her weight on the back end as she's going downhill. There she's a little bit better, but she's kind of looking around. Okay, so now you start to go faster, and everybody's never sure when I tell them I want to see them slow faster and faster, what they're supposed to do. So when you turn around, this first time she goes faster, it's too fast for her. She gets step pacey and pacey, so I'm going to turn it on. So she's step pacing, then she goes to pacing. Now she Now she doesn't have a big hard bounce like some of them do. So some people don't mind it, but we can get a better gait than that. So you'll see there's no head shake with that. So when she comes across the screen, you're going to see there's no head shake. She is smooth, because the step pace can be a smooth gait, but we can do a gait that's better for her. And she swings her legs more. So you'll see a soft little bounce in the saddle, but it's not bad. Now with you riding her, you're a pretty rider, you sit up tall. The only thing I would do is, as she's going uphill, you could try to tilt a little bit more forward because she's getting pacey, and you could try to bring your leg back underneath you a little bit more. The more we kind of sit back, it helps when they're trotty, but doesn't help as much when they're getting pacey. So in this one, as you come across, she's doing more of a flat walk or a running walk. And I'm saying both of those because it's the same gait, it's just the running walk is faster. And I got to finish going through the video so I see how fast your horse can go. But she's reaching out pretty good. And she's keeping her legs separated. The only thing I would like to see a little bit more, it's just, she's doing it, but it's a little bit lazy. So as she gets faster, if we don't help her, she might not be able to hold the gait as well. And then in time, when she can hold the gait and she knows what to do, sure, you can go on a looser rein again. So she's got a nice head shake. She's stepping up, but that head gets pretty low and she kind of gets lazy when she's doing that. So you don't need to bring her head way up, just a couple more inches, and tucking her nose in and rounding her neck and back would make a big difference in that gait. With her, I would like to keep her head just a little bit higher. Let's see what you do next. So there she's a little faster, and now she goes to step pacing. So she started off shaking her head, and then she went to step pacing, and then you'll see she wasn't really shaking her head and she was swinging her legs more. Okay, so when you come across here, this speed is better for her running walk. Okay. So this is perfect speed for her running walk. I would just tuck her nose in. Her head height is actually pretty good there. She just needs to tuck her nose in, round her back, and she would look gorgeous. This is going to be the better speed for her running walk, so I would not go faster than this until we get her flat walk and her running walk cleaned up and a little bit better. But that's the speed we're going to have for her running walk. This next speed you go at, you have a soft bounce in the saddle, so I hope you can feel that, but this speed is too fast for her right now, so that's a step pace. Okay, and again, to a lot of people it's smooth because they've been on trotting horses, but if we can get her flat walk and her running walk better, then what happens over time as we practice it, they get stronger and it gets faster and it's a much smoother gait than the gait you did just coming across. This speed as she comes across is way too fast. So she's just step pacing there and you'll see you're bouncing. So that should be in time the speed of her rack, but she can't do it right now and she can't hold it. Okay, it's nice that you did the arena in the road. So here her head is too low. And you're just doing a trail walk. She's starting to go up towards the speed of a flat walk. There it looks like it's going downhill. So she's got a nice head shake, but she gets that head way too low and gets her weight on the front end too much. Now she's slowed back down. So there it's way too low. You don't want to gait real fast with their heads down that low when it's a walking horse because they can get trippy. And then she goes to step pacing. So I'm just trying to point out the things she's doing. So as she's doing it, you can feel it. So with the flat walk and the running walk, you'll have a little back and forth motion. You'll have a head shake. So when that head shake stops and you're bouncing softly up and down, that's her step pace. So it's nice that, you know, she's not a hard pacer, but of course we want to make it better. So that's better, more towards her flat walk, but then again, she's getting her head down way too low here. Now here she started going faster, so that's her step pace. So you'll see a soft bounce in the saddle. And you'll see your ponytail is kind of giving it away too, because you'll see that swinging a whole bunch when she's doing it. And she kind of tripped, and she's swinging her legs more, so if the footing was a little high there, it's easier for them to catch their feet when they're doing that step pace or pace because they're not picking their feet up as high. They're more swinging their legs. So now we're going to get to work. So what we want to do is try to teach your horse to engage herself more. Now she's nice and relaxed here, which is fine for some horses. They can gait like that, but the walking horses tend to get a little bit heavier. And some of the regular gaited horses just get too heavy if their head's down too low. So she's going to gait best when her head's a little bit higher, and let me find a picture of her doing that. So her head's a little bit too high here, so I kind of want it in between those two things. I want her head a little bit more here, okay? And here you started speeding up as her head was coming up, and that makes her more towards that pace. So with horses like this that pace and trot, they kind of have a sweet spot where you want their head kind of in between those two. And then what you also want to do is get the horse's head more on the vertical and help them to carry themselves and learn, because when she carries herself, she goes to being very lazy. So she either puts her head way down or she puts it way up and she swings her legs. We want her head kind of down here and her head on the vertical. Now to do that, you're gonna have to ride with more contact in the beginning, and that's the hard part. You're gonna have to kind of hold her together and show her what to do. So the first thing I do is teach her how to put her head down on the vertical, and I'll send you that video in case you haven't seen that before. And we do it at the standstill first, and then we do it at the walk and the standstill. So I teach them lateral flexion, then vertical flexion. And I ask them over and over just to put their head down and give to the bit. Every time they get to the bit, I release, and then I pick up the reins and do it again. Once they can do it really well at the standstill, I start walking them around. And as I walk around, I walk, and you can be light with your hands, and then when I go to stop, I hold and ask them for them to bring their head down. And then you don't release until they bring their head down and they give to the bit. So you'll feel a release on the bit, like she might be pulling and then all of a sudden you'll feel nothing. That's when you're releasing, okay? Because that's what's called lightness. You want the horse to carry themselves, not lean on you. So you walk all around the arena, you can do it up and down the road, and you're gonna walk 10 steps, stop, get her head on the vertical, and then release. Wait 5 to 10 seconds, pick up your reins, walk off, repeat it. You're gonna do that over and over again. Don't worry about the gating, because you can't gait until we get this fixed first. Once she can do that well, then what you're going to do is you're gonna start walking around, and you're gonna ask her to put her head down on the vertical, not down here, and ask her to walk like that. As you do that, you're going to do the same thing you did at the standstill. So you'll put pressure on the bit, but since you want her to keep walking, as you do that, you're going to squeeze a little with your legs. Now you might have to hold pretty hard in the beginning, and it's best if you can brace your arms. You don't want to get in a pulling fight. So if you did the previous work well, this won't be that hard. She'll figure it out in a couple of minutes. If you didn't get that message to her before, then it might be really hard. She might be really tugging on you. And so as you do it, if you get confused, you send me a video and I'll tell you if you're doing it right or wrong. But then as you're walking around, you'll hold pressure. You're not going to pull your hands down or up. Your hands are fine where they are. And you'll hold pressure. When she gives to the bit, you'll release with your hands and you'll release a little with your leg as well. But you want her to keep walking because now we don't want her to stop. So again, as she's walking, you'll hold pressure. You put a little pressure with your calves. When she tucks her head in and releases, then you'll release a little with your hands. And then once she's getting the idea, you're going to walk around and you're going to ask her more and more just to keep her head down about here on the vertical. And I'm going to show you a picture of Minnie so you can see what I'm talking about. So we want her to start carrying herself, but we have to do it at the trail walk first before we can do it at the flat walk. So once you can keep her head down all the time, then we know we're going to be able to go for more speed. But from this point on, once you teach her to put her head down on the vertical, every time you stop and every time you pick those reins up and you put pressure on them, she has to give to the bit, because you'll only confuse the horse more by picking up on the reins and holding, and then the horse doesn't bring its head down and then you release. Then the horse goes, well, sometimes she releases when my head's up, sometimes it's down. Maybe I'll yank on the bit. So they get very confused. So from that point on, every time you put pressure, she's got to drop her head down. If you start having problems and you're like, now she's just fighting me, you go back to the standstill and you make sure she really has that down, and then you go back to walking and stopping and she really has that down, and then you go to the walking and getting her head down. And if any of this doesn't make sense, you just tell me and I'll try to explain it a different way. But we have to get her to give to the bit and not lean on the bit to do this. Now, bits can help you do this if you're not good with your hands, but you can ride the horses in anything. But if you do it with a bitless bridle or a hackamore or a snaffle, it can be a little bit harder for some people to do it, but it's possible. If you can't, then what I would do is go with something more like a miler bit. Because that will help to get her head down a little bit easier for you. And as the shank and the curb chain, all of that will help to put kind of pressure and tuck her in, and then you won't have to put as much pressure on her. I'll try to get a close-up, but I couldn't totally tell which bit you were using. So let me see if I can see. I look back even at these videos, but it's blurry, so I can't tell what bit you're using. So I'm gonna send you the bit I would recommend trying on her. So again, you can do this walking with her head down on the vertical out here. You can do it in the arena. You just have to be consistent and make sure every time you pick up on those reins and you tighten your fingers up, that horse gives to the bit. And with your horse, the main secret is to get her to gait well and get her to gait correctly. We got to teach her to bring her head down on the bit, not her head way down here, which we do with some of the horses that are pacing. But me watching what she's doing, she gets too heavy when her head gets down that far, and it doesn't separate her legs anymore. So we kind of want her head about here, just a little bit lower, but with her nose tucked in more. And then you're going to have to be consistent with your hands that you keep her kind of tucked in. Then it's just practicing the right speed to go. So that's why I was trying to point out in the video, which is her flat walk and what would be her speed of her running walk. So you want her flat walk to be a little bit faster than her trail walk. And you did it pretty well in some of these videos. Her head should be shaken up and down, but we just want that nose tucked in more as she's doing it. As she's walking, to keep that same speed, you'll hold a little pressure with your calves. If she's dull, then carry a stick, a dressage whip, and just tap her behind your leg, because you don't want to have to be using your legs really hard all the time. And to me, it doesn't look like she is like that, but I like to point that out just in case. And then as you're walking, you'll squeeze when you need to keep her going. If she's slowing down anywhere you get to downhill, you're going to lighten your leg and half halt more and slow her down. Okay, because again, going downhill in the arena or out here is going to make her more pacey. With your body, you can stay like this because she's not a hard pacer, but you could also, if you feel her going towards the pace, you can also tilt your pelvis a little bit more forward and see if that helps, and just bring that leg back a little bit underneath you. What you want to do is when you're practicing her flat walk, is do it for at least 5 minutes each direction. I like to do the arena routine I posted. I'll send it to you. And I do all the circles and the serpentines and the leg yield, because that helps separate those horses' legs. And she looks like when you're going faster, even though she can trot when she's loose, she's not trotting with you under saddle. So if we round her out by bringing her head down, getting her to engage her hindquarter and round her back more, we will take her more towards a trot instead of a pace, because her go-to, at least what I see in the videos, is the pace. So we want to round her body out to set her up to separate her legs more and go more towards the trotty side. So as you go around the arena and you're practicing your flat walk, again, it's good to do patterns and do all those exercises with the circles, because it helps separate their legs. And then do all of that. And then still, if you have time, I would do a flat walk for 5 minutes each direction after that. So I would do the arena routine with the circles and stuff, and then start your timer and put it on your phone for 5 minutes after that, and then practice your flat walk and just flat walk around the arena, because then they're warmed up well, and then you can concentrate just on gaiting, and then the horse is usually happy to do it because you're not making them do all those circles and other things. So you do that each direction, so you end up, I guess, with more time flat walking. Then I give them a little break, and then when I go back to work, I ask them for the faster speed, which you had before that we pointed out was your running walk. And then the only thing you're going to have to do is stay the same speed and keep her head up a little bit like this, but tucked in, so on the vertical. But again, we don't want her head way, way, way down. Okay, we don't want her getting heavy and leaning on you. Now, when you do the running walk, you'll do that 5 minutes each direction too. You can just go around the arena. But if she's getting pacey, then I would keep her in a circle. And if you're like, no, she still keep getting pacey and I can't keep her out of it, then I would set up the circle of poles, like I said, to do when she was lunging, and ride her over the poles as you're doing the running walk. The poles will help her to separate her legs, will help her to pick up her feet, teach her where to put her feet, which is called proprioception, and will make her gait better because it'll make her engage her back end, it'll make her round her back, she'll use her stomach muscles, and it does a lot. You don't need the poles forever. It's just for teaching. It's like us weightlifting to get in shape. Okay, so over time, as she gets better, then you can start skipping poles or go around the poles or take some of the poles out. But you have to condition her and do this over and over again to get her flat walk and her running walk to be consistent and for her to hold the speed. You don't want to try to rack or do any of those things until we get her foundation built. So her big foundation is get the flat walk first, and don't go any faster or try the running walk until that's really consistent. And it can be boring, but you want to get that really consistent. And then when she is, you reward her, you tell her she's a good girl, you can stop and rest her, you can give her treats, so she's happy to try doing it. But get that really consistent first. And if you run 3 to 5 times a week, that just might be a week or two of flat walking. Then you can add in your running walk if she's doing good. And when you add in that running walk, you're like, this is horrible, then she's not ready to do it yet, and you go back to flat walking another week or two. And use those poles because that will help. And then try for the running walk again. She does have lots of talent. It's hidden in there. She's kind of lazy, puts her head down and just swings her leg and doesn't use herself that much. But she looks like she could gait really nicely, like a show horse, nice, and be a great horse. We just got to get her to use herself and, have you be consistent on working her and giving her exercises that will help. So things like circles, serpentine, leg yield, shoulder in, hind quarter in, which is all basic dressage movements, are what going to help her to separate those legs while you're riding her and get her smoother. Okay. And again, her step pace is smooth. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't look like your horse isn't smooth. She is, and that's probably the problem because she's not a hard pacer. So a lot of people go, well, that's fine, and they accept it. But it could be so much better, okay? So I'll send you all that information. You let me know if there's any questions. And then, after a couple of weeks or a month, we can do another lesson and make sure you're going in the right direction.